Welcome into My Mind is a Weapon podcast, episode 3. I am your host, sleezballff. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me everywhere with the same social media name. Today, we are going to be going over Scott Fish Bowl 14, the 2024 14th time they've ran this charity event with fantasycarriersorgs.com, which is amazing to donate to, help kids, toys, everything. I'm so honored to be a part of it. Shout out to Scott Fish. Shout out to Scott, who hosted it as well in Vegas for us. It was one of the best times. If you have never been, it is a bucket list must-do thing. Now, for this episode, I'm going to dive into the scoring settings, the NFL kickoff rules that changed, and how this is going to impact your way to win the Scott Fish Bowl. This is my first time here, so this is my first time ever doing a video like this or a podcast episode like this. I am not a perfectionist at it, but I'm going to tell you this is my research that I came up with and what I believe is the best way to win this. So some of you have already drafted, some of you haven't, and this is going to help you guys, the ones that are still doing slow drafts. I believe they started a couple of days ago, 2-3 days ago, and now you have a couple live drafts still happening. I believe there's like 6-7 more live drafts around the country going on right now, and let's dive into it here, guys.
Welcome to the My Mind is a Weapon podcast.
So the first thing I want to implement here is the new NFL kickoff rules that are changing for 2024. And it's a tough breakdown. So I'm going to give you the 3 pages and we're going to talk about it here and what I believe how it's going to help you. So first off, you're still kicking off from the 35-yard line, which is the same as last time. On a safety, you'll be kicking off from the 20, which is the same as the current rules last time. Now for the alignment, all kicking team players other than the kicker will line up 1 foot on the receiving team's 40-yard line. The kicker cannot cross the 50-yard line until the ball touches the ground or a player with a landing in the end zone or in the landing zone touches the ball. The 10 kicking team players that line up on the line cannot move until the ball hits the ground or a player, same thing, landing in the end zone or the landing zone catches the ball. The receiving team lines up as follows: setup zone, 5-yard area from the B35 to the B30-yard line, where at least 9 receiving team players must line up, at least 7 players with a foot on the 35-yard line, with alignment requirements to the hashes inside and outside. Players not restraining on the line must be lined up in a setup zone outside the hash marks. All players in the setup zone cannot move until the kick has hit the ground or a player in the landing zone or the end zone has the ball. So a maximum of 2 returners can line up in the back, which is very key right there. You can have 2 players, possibly depending on how you do your setup, whatever the coaches will scheme up different things, obviously. But you can have 2 kick return players, which could hurt what I'm going to say here later, but I don't think by very much, if anything. Heading down to the landing zone now. Landing zone is the area between the receiving team's goal line and its 20-yard line. So 30 yards from the back of the end zone to the 20-yard line. Any kick that hits in the landing zone has to be returned. So if it lands from anywhere from the goal line to the 20-yard line, it's going to be an instant return. This is what I'm talking about for Scott Fish right here. Last year, it was a 28% return rate in the entire NFL. This year, they're predicting about a 70 to 75% return rate, which is going to be massive, massive, massive points for your Scott Fish leagues. I promise you this is how you're going to win, but let's dive into it more here. So any kick that lands in the end zone must be returned or downed by the receiving team. If down, then the touchback goes to the 20-yard line. Kick hits in the end zone, stays inbound, returned or down. If down, touchback to the 30-yard line. Any kick that goes out of the back of the end zone in the air, of course, back to the 30-yard line, which is not what you really want to give up. So, you're giving up 30 yards if you kick it out of the end zone now. It used to be 20, 25. Now they're giving an extra, which is more incentive on getting a return. So, miscellaneous, and this is the biggest one for Scott Fish right here. No fair catch signal is allowed. Officials will blow the play dead. So if you're at the 5, the 10, the 15, you're obviously, if the ball is going to be, say touchback, it's going to go back to the 30. You're not going to give up that 15 yards. You're going to take it out, which is a massive, massive point variation because they can't move till you touch the ball. So, if you're going to, let me give an example as Rashid Shaheed, right, who I'm going to talk about later. Get this guy going 15 yards, head of steam out before the defense can move, it's going to be very tough to stop these guys. I mean, especially with their speed heading straight at them. The onside kick, we don't really need to talk about for Scott Fish wise. Penalties, we don't really need to talk about for Scott Fish wise. Safety kick, we don't need to talk about for Scott Fish wise at all. Approved rulings, the special teams working group will continue to work with the official department to extreme the necessary. So in other words, they're trying to see how they're going to improve the rules in any way possible. Now, next part here. After this, I'm going to switch the screen here, and we're going to go into the rules of Scott Fish and how the points work and how my drafting strategy will help you into this. This is just the beginning. This is just the rules. Now let's dive into the good stuff here. So I've got a different look here on this page. I've got the SFB scoring rules at the top and my league to Scott Fish, where I'm going to show you a trick which is possible on your phone, possible on your desktop as well. It's a little harder on your desktop. You got to do a little more maneuver. It's a lot easier on your phone, but I'm going to show you both ways to do it. First, we're going to dive into the Scott Fish Bowl rules and scoring here and why the kick return, punt return players to me are going to be more valuable than your actual starters. And I'm going to show you why. And this is something you should adapt into your drafts. And I'm going to show you my team and everything that I've done and all the drafts and everything like that. But let's start with the scoring rules here to start with. So your touchdowns, same, 6 points per TD, 2 points for 2-point conversion. That's fine. 1 point for a 50-yard pass, which is another plus. So if you're looking for deep bomb quarterbacks, wide receivers that go deep all the time, like the example would be like you're looking for Jameson Williams, Jared Goff to catch one. There you go. Rushing and receiving, 1 point for 10 yards, same there. But this is the crazy thing. You get 0.5 plus for a first down. So Derrick Henry, these are things you look at for quarterbacks as well, like Jalen Hurts, tush push, first down, boom, instant 0.5 points. Was also 0.25 per rushing attempt. So again, this is why you go for rushing quarterbacks. The running backs also have extremely good value. They're bell cows as well, which is why I'm so high on Zamir White and Scott Fish Bowl. It's crazy. I think this guy's going to out-touch so many people. But receiving side, receptions, QB, running back, 0.5 PPR, that's the same. Wide receiver gets a 0.5 boost, and the tight end premium gets a 1 point boost, which is amazing. You also get the extra 1 point per first down for a tight end. So that's why your tight ends are going to fly off the board all the way to Kyle Pitts within the first 3 to 4 rounds. So you're going to have Kellis probably go in the second, Kincaid probably go in the third, Trey McBride go in the second or third. I mean, you're going to have Evan Ingram, who was tight end 9 or player 9 overall last season in Scott Fish scoring. Yes, number 9. He's a top 10 player in Scott Fish settings last year. Evan Ingram is my number 1 target at tight end in this draft. Now for kicking, this is what's actually amazing. So 3.3 points per made extra point. That's fine. Now for the field goals, it is just like a reception down the field. So if you kick a 42-yard field goal, you're getting 4.2. If you kick a 57, you're getting 5.7. If you kick a 65, you get 6.5. I like it way better in this format. I'm going to try to adapt this into my leagues, depending on, your league mates sometimes don't want to switch things, so it makes it tough, but I like that a lot. Now, this is the key point to Scott Fish that this whole video is about right here. Special teams, 10 points for a touchdown or a punt return at any time in the game, which is massive value if it happens. 1 point for 5 yards per return. So on a kick return, if I get 20 yards, that's 4 points, 0.2 per. So, I mean, if I take it 50 yards, say, for example, 50 yards, I'm looking at how many points is that? So if you do the math, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. A 50-yard return by itself is 10 points. Imagine taking a 50 or 70-yard touchdown to the house. You're literally looking at about a 22-point play, which is going to win you a week right there. So this is the scoring breakdown right now. I'm going to show you my trick here as we dive into Sleeper right here. So number 1, you have to be on your Sleeper app in your league. Oh, actually, let's go. I'm going to go big screen here so you guys can see this a little better. So you have to be in your Scott Fish league. What you're wanting to do here, what the trick is, so you can see for your draft from last year's scoring that you cannot see without this. So you're going to want to go to your players tab. On your phone, I believe it's going to say players leaders. So you're going to click on players leaders on your phone. On the computer like this, you're just going to click players. Take your projection, slide it over to stats, go down to 2023. Make sure you're on the season tab. Now this is the trick here with on PC, different than your phone. So on your phone, if you just go players, leaders, 2023 stats, you'll see the entire list. Super easy. On the PC, you have to go like this. You have to click down to 2022 and then come back to 2023, unclick free agents, re-click it, and then try and why is it? See, this is the problems that I have here. Oh, and then on your fantasy points, you have to click points. So now I'm looking at the entire list of players from last year with the Scott Fish scoring. That this is how it goes. So you're going to see Christian McCaffrey outscored Josh Allen by 22 points. That's why he should go number 1 in every draft. So CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Hurts. This is what I'm talking about. Evan Ingram right here at number 9. This should be the tight end that you're targeting 100% with his expanded role this year. Let's go deeper. I love Evan Ingram a lot. Now let's flip it back here. I want to switch back here so you can keep them both going here. So now, my draft, my team, I targeted 1 rushing quarterback and 1 safe quarterback. The running backs are going to go kind of heavy because people think the 0.25 per attempt is really going to help them, the 0.5 for first down. So you're going to see them go a lot faster. I didn't target running backs as heavy. I targeted Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey because I had the second pick. Of course, give me CMC all day. Now, my team here, I went heavy, strong wide receivers for the first, fill out my roster, right? After that, I targeted every kick returner, every punt returner, every starter, period. So before we go there, let me show you my guy D-Bro from Fantasy Pros tweet here. And this is, if you want to screenshot this, save this, write this down, go to his Twitter. He drops amazing content as well. Shout out to him and all the Fantasy Pros guys. I love all their content. So here is his post. This is the SFB Scott Fishbowl 14 fam. Here's the full list of wide receiver kick returner designations. Currently, this obviously is subject to change, right? We don't know this fully yet. Now, what you're going to want to try and target here is wide receivers. I even like the ones that don't even start, but you want to target the wide receivers that are at least on kick return and punt return and part of the wide receiver trio that plays in the game. So you're going to get extra value per punt return, per kick return, whatever it is. The punt return points are going to be a little harder to come by than the kick return points, in my opinion. So the kick returner is a massive value. So you got Khalil Shakir, Pop Douglas, Xavier Gibson, kick returner, punt returner, Xavier Gibson. We're going to dive into, let's do it right now. So let's go like this. Xavier Gibson, okay? And you're going to be like, why draft Xavier Gibson? Tell me what the reasoning is behind this. Well, I'm going to show you right now. 2023 stats, take off your free agent, click the fantasy points. Okay. If I scroll down here and I'm just looking at wide receivers, right? Can I make it just wide receivers? Will it change? Okay. So here you are. Now look at this. Xavier Gibson right here. 2023 to the Scott Fishbowl settings was wide receiver 27. Okay. Overall, this guy only played his snap percentage on the season. Terrible, right? Look at this. His most snaps was 70%. That was at the end towards injuries. Nothing really happened. On the season, 48.2%. Not good at all. But wide receiver 27, why? Kick return and punt return. So look at these points right here. Almost averaging 10 points a game, never playing on the field. A 20-point game here, 30-point game here, 11-point game here, 21-point game here, 30-point game here, 18-point game here, 18-point game here, 32-point game here. And these are with last year's kick return rules where you only got 28% of the returns. Now imagine 75% of the returns happening and Xavier Gibson's value. He outscored Garrett Wilson last year. Garrett Wilson. Like, think about that. You drafted Garrett Wilson in probably the first or second round and Xavier Gibson in the 18th, and he outscored this man. Okay? These are the receivers that I want you to target and pay attention to in Scott Fish. The first one I'm going to talk about here is going to be Rashid Shaheed, okay? Rashid Shaheed is going to go about the 8th or the 9th round. It's going to blow your mind why. And I'm going to show you why as well right now. Rashid Shaheed is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was wide receiver 6 last year, guys. 6 in Scott Fish. Look at these points, man. And he missed 3 weeks, and he was wide receiver 6. Think about that now at the return rate. But with Rashid Shaheed, we don't know if he's going to be kick returner yet because he just got the wide receiver 2 job. They don't want to get him injured. So this is a scary one as of now, but currently he is the kick returner. There's been some rumors that he's not going to be. So keep your eye out on this one, but he's still a great value pick. So 45 points, 20 points, 31, 20, 13, 27, 34, 14, 23, 20, 17, and 20. Like what? Rashid Shaheed, you wouldn't even think about that in redraft, but in this, his kick return and punt return is so valuable that you should be targeting him in your 8th or your 9th round. The other wide receiver, number 2, I want to talk about here is going to be Josh Downs, the kick returner, punt returner for the Colts. He is locked in at both. He is also the wide receiver 3 on the team, which is what you're targeting here. So like I said, with Shaheed, he's the wide receiver 2. It could be a little sketch if he's going to be kick returner or punt returner. He is labeled that now. Josh Downs being the wide receiver 3, they won't have the same kind of worry at injuries as he's the wide receiver 2 because they got a Donnie Mitchell, so they can, forcefully use him as a punt returner and a kick returner, and this is the value you are looking for. Now, for Josh Downs, you're not going to find him on there because the injuries last year derailed his season a lot, but he still scored 189 points, and he didn't even play. So look at this right here. If you look at this, well, he was, I guess he wasn't injured as much as I thought. He missed like 2 games here, but he didn't hit the punt return till about week 6 or 7, I believe. So right here, he was still seeing enough targets to be valuable. And I do think he's going to see still enough targets to be valuable, plus the kick return punt return to be awesome. But if you can outscore Cooper Kupp, Christian Kirk, Deontay Johnson, Jackson Smith and Jig, but look at these names on here. Jerry Jeudy, T. Higgins, he was hurt. Hollywood Brown, all these guys are outscored because of the kick return phenomenal points that are going to happen, and Josh Downs is going to light it up this year. I would say target him around round 9 or 10, but again, this is my strategy, so this is what I did. I filled out my roster to start, got my starting lineup all the way through. You have a double flex quarterback right away, too. You should look for rushing quarterbacks. Remember that again, because the rushing yards really help. Now, heading into round 9 and 10, this is where I started to target them all. And the next player right here I want to talk about after him is going to be my favorite sleeper of the draft, Greg Dortch. Okay. Greg Dortch, as of right now, is the punt returner. I just saw a YouTube video where he is talking about being the kick returner as well, and he will be the wide receiver 3. So just like Downs, possibly wide receiver 2, and Kyler Murray's pumping this guy up all offseason saying he's unguardable. No one can stop him on the field. I'm going to target him all day. Everything is there to love about Greg Dortch right now. But let me show you his last season here. According to the Scott Fish rules, he scored 198 points over Drake London last season. So Greg Dortch right here at the beginning, if you look at this, he only did 0 returns week 1. He did 1 return week 2. He did 1 return week 3, 1 return week 4. Now, at the end of the season here, look when he just got 3 returns, right? And he's going to get every single return if he is locked in as a kick returner. 30 points, 40 points, 11 points, right? He only did 1 return that week. But look what 3 return, just 3, does for your scoring. It's insane. If this guy's going to give me 38 and 30 points a week, why the hell would I ever start anybody else but the kick returners? This is my point on my strategy on how to dominate Scott Fish this season. Kick return yards are going to be the key. 82 or 74 and 87 kick return yards. He only had 45 yards receiving. Okay. That's it. 45 yards receiving, 87 kick return, and he got 30.7 points. Down here, this game, he did have 7 targets, 7 receptions, 82 yards. That's awesome. 74 yards returning. So the 7 catches, 82 yards, gave him 11 points. 74 yards returning, gave him 27 points. Punt return yards. Like, look at this. It's just insane the amount of points you're going to get from special teams. Now, this last player here is the Scott Fish. I tweeted this. If you don't follow my Twitter, it's sleezballff. Everything's on there. I've done a bunch of Scott Fish research and everything I can because this is my first time in, and I wanted to make a big impression on my first time being in. So it is going to be Marvin Mims. Now, I tweeted this about a month ago that he's my league winner for Scott Fish. I've seen a bunch of big names in the fantasy community all say that Marvin Mims is going to be wide receiver 1 overall. Wide receiver 1. Hear that out one more time. Marvin Mims will be wide receiver 1 in Scott Fishbowl fantasy football scoring. Look at this last season. Marvin Mims scored 228, above Justin Jefferson, above Zay Flowers, above Jalen Waddle, above Tank Dell, above Cortland Sutton, Greg Dortch, Drake London, everybody. So he's in the top 26, I believe, right now as wide receivers on here. But what you have to look at here, so last season with Marvin Mims, okay, pull it up here. 27% of snaps, 24, 24, 35, 32, 23, 31, 40. First 8 games, he never played over 40% snaps. And just listen to this. 15 points, 30 points, 46 points, 12 points, 1 point here, bad game. He didn't get any returns. 6 points, no returns in this game either. 1.35, no returns here. 12 points, 1 return. Okay. These numbers are going to fly. He is the kick returner and the punt returner, and he could be the wide receiver 2. And if they put him at the wide receiver 2, either way, 2 or 3, I'm still happy to start him weekly no matter what because the points. But if he becomes the wide receiver 2 or possibly even the 1, I mean, I think Cortland Sutton will still be the 1. But he's going to see so much volume in the kick return game. It is insane. So just like I was talking about with Greg Dortch here, look at this. He got 2 returns here, 28 yards, 27 points. 2 returns, 55 yards, 21 points. And he never played over 60% snaps. I mean, this guy did nothing. He's going to emerge second-year breakout. He's young. His speed is through the roof. He could possibly, this is like I was saying earlier, possibly be the wide receiver 1 in Scott Fishbowl fantasy. And you can get him. So let's go ahead and go to my drafts. I'm going to show you. So draft results. Okay. My team, right? Pull it down. I got Marvin Mims at the 13th round. I went for Pop Douglas in the 14th round. I went for Josh Downs in the 15th round. I went for Xavier Gibson in the 17th and Greg Dortch in the 18th. That is absolutely steal valuation on punt return, kick return players. But for me, I'm a lot more higher on the kick returns than I am the punt returns because you're not going to be touched till the ball gets to you on a kick return. Punt return, they're coming full send either way, you know. If you break one punt return, yeah, but I feel like the yards are going to be way, way more massive on the kick return side than the punt return side. So that is it for me on the Scott Fish breakdown, guys. I hope this helps you win your guys' leagues. I will be starting. I don't care if they even are not even in the top 3 wide receivers. I will be starting Xavier Gibson. I will be starting Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker's not on my team, but I will be starting these guys over actual starters because of the boom points that can happen, and the kick returns are going to be flying. I mean, the points are going to be through the roof. I'm telling you that this is not official. Like, this is my first time in Scott Fish. I'm not a champion. I haven't won before. You believe me or not believe me, but I'm telling you, this is how you are going to win your Scott Fish Bowls. I just know it. That is it for episode 3 of My Mind is a Weapon podcast, guys. Thanks for listening. If you haven't smashed that follow or download, whatever it is, all the support's appreciated. I'm also on YouTube, sleezballff, everywhere across all social media platforms. You can find me. And tonight at 6 or 8:30 p.m., I'm sorry, I'm so used to the California time. I have to go to Eastern now. 8:30 p.m., I'll be doing 2 back-to-back $2.5 million drafts on Drafters. If you guys aren't on Drafters, you can always sign up using code SLEAZ. I love the platform. It's the best. I love the total points best ball format instead of the playoff form. It's my favorite. And that's it for me, guys. I will catch you guys. The next episode should be dropping tomorrow. I think we're going to do a breakdown of best ball strategies with a couple of my buddies that I trust a lot in the fantasy football world, other content creators. And I will catch you guys tomorrow, man. I think I'm out. That's it. Everybody have a good day. Thanks for listening. See you.